Egypt recorded everything: the lineage of its kings, the triumphs of its armies, the failures of its harvests. They documented offerings to the gods, the construction of temples, even the dreams of their priests. In a civilization obsessed with legacy, nothing was left to chance. Yet one ruler seems to have vanished from every scroll, every monument, every official record. A pharaoh whose existence can only be traced through the broken fragments the ancient world failed to destroy. His story isn't about how he died, but why an entire empire tried to pretend he never lived. This is the search for the pharaoh they erased from history. The greatest ambition of any Egyptian king was to be remembered forever. They carved their names, their cartouches, into stone, believing that to speak a name was to make the person live again. But for one pharaoh, the opposite was true. Across the land, his cartouches were systematically attacked, chiseled out from temple walls, hammered clean from obelisks, or crudely plastered over. Archaeologists have stood before these stone canvases, tracing the faint outlines of a name that someone thousands of years ago desperately wanted forgotten. The act itself was a message. This ruler was not to be remembered. He was to be an absence, a void. The question is, what could a king do to deserve such a fate? Every pharaoh prepared for eternity with a tomb, a house for their soul. Tutankhamun, a minor king, had a treasure-filled chamber. The great Ramses II had a sprawling complex in the Valley of the Kings. But for this erased pharaoh, there is nothing. No grand burial chamber has ever been definitively linked to him. This absence has ignited a fierce debate among Egyptologists. Some argue his tomb was found and looted so thoroughly in antiquity that all identifying marks were lost. Others believe it was intentionally destroyed, its contents scattered to the winds to deny him an afterlife. A more chilling theory suggests the tomb was sealed in a forbidden, uncharted zone of the desert, a place no one was ever meant to find. But perhaps the most disturbing possibility is that the tomb was never finished at all, because the erasure, the damnatio memoria, began while he was still alive. Imagine walking through the ruins of Karnak or Luxor and seeing the evidence of this purge with your own eyes. Across Egypt, statues were toppled, not by time or earthquakes, but by human hands. Faces were systematically removed, royal insignia smashed, entire figures broken into pieces. This wasn't the work of common thieves or random vandals. The precision and scale of the destruction tell a different story. Forensic analysis of the fragments reveals something striking. The craftsmanship and style of these broken artifacts all point to a single specific period in Egyptian history. This was a coordinated, state-sponsored campaign of destruction. Someone with immense power ordered every image of this king to be annihilated. It was a purge designed to wipe his very likeness from the face of the earth. So why go to such extreme lengths? The answer may lie buried in fragments of ancient texts that survived the purge. These papyri don't name him, but they allude to a heretic king, a ruler who walked against the gods. These whispers from the past suggest a pharaoh who dared to defy the powerful temple traditions, who challenged the immense wealth and influence of the priestly class. Was he a true reformer, trying to guide his people toward a new understanding of the divine? Or was he a dangerous revolutionary whose ideas threatened the very foundation of Egyptian society? The power structure of ancient Egypt was built on a delicate balance between the pharaoh and the priesthood. A king who disrupted that balance would not just be an enemy of the state, he would be an enemy of the gods themselves. The scribes were the record keepers of the empire, their hands documenting every decree, every tax, every royal birth. But in the case of the missing pharaoh, their greatest task was not to write, but to erase. In several archives, researchers have discovered papyrus logs with conspicuous blank sections. Entire paragraphs were meticulously scraped away, the original ink scrubbed from the page, replaced with bland, politically safe narratives that skip over a crucial period of time. These gaps, these silences in the official record, align almost perfectly with the estimated years this forgotten ruler should have been in power. It's a powerful reminder that erased history is still history. The empty spaces tell a story all their own, a story of fear, censorship, and a truth so dangerous it had to be silenced. But you can't erase everything. Near the ancient capital of Thebes, a single small stone relief was found, half buried in the sand. It depicts a pharaoh making an offering. The carving is exquisite, but the cartouche where his name should be is conspicuously, deliberately blank. What makes this fragment so vital is that the regalia he wears, the specific crown and scepter, do not match those of any other known king from that era. The artwork itself contains a clue. It suggests a ruler caught between two worlds, the traditional symbols of political authority and a subtle, almost rebellious, spiritual posture. It is a ghost image, a hint of a story the temples and their scribes refused to preserve, a single frame from a film they tried to burn. When historians and archaeologists piece together the timeline of the new kingdom, they encounter a puzzle. If you add up the official reign lengths of the known pharaohs, compare them with records of building projects and astronomical events, you find an anomaly. There is an unexplained gap, a period of several years that is completely unaccounted for. These missing years match the estimated reign of the erased pharaoh. This isn't just a clerical error or a lost scroll. This is evidence of a deliberate, calculated removal. His story wasn't lost to the sands of time. It was surgically cut out of the historical record. His reign was replaced with a convenient void, a seamless fiction that hid a turbulent and unwanted truth. This brings us to the final, haunting questions. Who was this man? Was he Akhenaten, the famous heretic who tried to replace Egypt's pantheon with a single sun god? Some evidence fits, but much of it doesn't. Was he another lesser-known ruler whose rebellion was so complete that his name was utterly obliterated? A visionary silenced by a conservative establishment? A threat to the empire's stability? Or simply a pawn in a game of power whose loss was so absolute that his opponents won the ultimate prize, control of history itself? The artifacts tell us he existed. The destruction tells us he was feared. And the silence tells us his secret was one the ancient world was willing to kill to protect. What truth did his existence reveal that the priests and pharaohs who followed could not allow to survive? History did not forget him. History was told to forget. If you're ready to uncover more Forbidden's history and explore the stories that have been deliberately hidden from us, subscribe to the True Story Files and let us know in the comments, who do you think the missing pharaoh was?